What's up, guys? It's your man Skipper. In today's video, as a request from one of my son's friends, I'm making a fallow guide for you guys that's going to cover what weapons to use, where to find them, and the best way you can set up for those locations. And as you can tell, on the east side of my map, I have my whole setup, which is constantly changing because I'm rearranging where my fallow are. But you can find fallow in this lake. I have them right here. This is the biggest hot spot for fallow, period, is this double lake right here. You can find some on this coast and all around this lake right here. But other than that, you'll find them from right here on the coast all the way down to here, and from this coast all the way down around all these bends and the lighthouse to about right here is the last place I have them. You can find them here, which I find to be more of the solo zone, and a lot of solos do accumulate in this area right here, but that's how we'll get to that point when it comes. And this is another great lake for them right here. They'll all be on the east side of the lake from right here to down here. I have them. And you'll also find them on this side of the bridge, this location, and up through this area right here. This is the last place I have fallow, at this last tip, which I find to be the best zone if you can make that happen. As a reminder, you can only have 16 tents to put down on a map and roughly about 24 tripods. I highly suggest you get your tents and tripods before you do a grind, but you can manage without it. Just a lot of running is not as efficient. But I would definitely suggest tripods. So tents are 16,000 per tent. I know, expensive. That's not a world I want to live in. Another alternate solutions for tents would be the Incognito Deluxe Ground Blind. They're okay. I just don't like the limited visual you get from them. Another great one would be waterfowl blinds. It's open, and there's a trick you can get to get higher elevation, but you're completely concealed inside of it to where the animals won't detect you. If you have area that has big trees, you could use a tree stand, but my personal favorite is a tripod, which again is 16,000. Grinding costs a lot of money to set up, but you also make a lot of money back. As you can tell, I'm sitting at 1.26 million. So we're going to go over the weapons list. The main ones I would suggest here at Awaroa would definitely be the Arzina 300 Mag Tactical. And since this gun comes with this map, it's actually a pretty decent gun. The FL Sporter 303 Laminated. You have the Variant 22 LR Express, which I use this to help get the deer's attention, not to shoot them with. Do not do that. You won't be good for you. And my main grind gun would be the Zarza 10 308 Moonlight, which Moonlight's just a variation of it, but just the Zarza 10 308, great gun. With the ammo, for the 22, I have the 22 LR trinicated cone bullets. For the 300, I have the 300 Magnum polymer tip bullet. For the 303, you'd get the 303 British polymer tip bullet. And finally, for the 308, you'd get the 308 polymer tip bullet. For sights, I would use the Odin, but if you don't have the new scopes bundle, you can use the Hyperion. It would be the second best scope in the game. For lures, only thing you need for fallow would be the antler rattler. I would suggest carrying some scent eliminator with you in case you have a bad wind. And for the binoculars, I use the Apex View 7x42 binoculars. And I'm carrying around tripods just to prevent blowouts. Now, some other good weapons for fallow would be the Coachmate Lever 4570. It just doesn't have the range. The 7mm Regent Magnum 300 Canning Magnum. But with the 300 Cannon Magnum, you will not pass the harvest check. It's mainly just to put them down. The Kerman 50 inline, but it's a single shot. Of course, the Eckers 30-06. It's just a heavier gun, but it's a good gun to use. I thoroughly enjoy using the Hutsik 50 caliber cap lock. It's a single shot, but it just makes it fun. The Johansson 450 for the Player's Choice pack, it's not bad. A lot of people like the M1 Awaniak. The Malmer 7mm Magnum, the Morardi model 1894, doesn't have the range. One of my favorites, the Olsen model 23308. Another good one to use if you want to shoot short range would be the Vasquez Cyclone 45. You could use the 243 Arc Cuomo, the 44 Panther Magnum if you want to use pistol, the 4570 Jernberg Superior. If you have good vision and don't mind using the reflex scope, the 10mm Devani 40A is a good gun. And of course, the Sunberg 454. Now, you could use a shotgun. I don't like using shotguns to deer hunt. I exclusively only use shotguns for ducks, geese, ptarmigan, grouse, quails, but it's your choice. If you want to use that, just know you have to get in close and have a perfect broadside shot for it to even work. And any of the bows will work. I like bow hunting. I like to use a crossbow, but my preference would be the Sternberg takedown recurve bow because it's only 2 kilograms of weight and it has amazing stopping power. Of course, going over all the weapons, my loadout is exclusively the 300 mag tactical, the Zarza 10 308, FL Sporter 303, and a 22 just for getting the deer's attention. I have scent eliminator, apex view, and tripods on me since I already have all my tents down. Let's get started with the first zone. As soon as I come out of my tent, which I have right here, I head to my tripod. I have a zone right here that I have my shot down lower level fallow. So fallow drink from 10 to 1300. I would suggest send the time for about 11:20. That way you can expect the fallow to be in the zone waiting for you when you get there. You might have some stragglers, but that's usually a pretty good estimate time. And yes, I'm with you. I can't stand wasting drink time because the fallow take 3 years to get there to zones. I like it to where it's a computer, it gets there on time. But here we are. Hop on my tripod. This is why I say this is one of the biggest hotspots at this lake. Granted, this is a product of my own design. Instead of having fallow all the way across this lake and over here, I blew out all my zones and the focal point is right here, which I'm not gonna lie, I kind of regret because this is too much to go through. So I'll try each of these weapons to show you how they work on fallow. This is the FL Sporter 303. And it's down, taking a nice nap, easy peasy. Now I have a pickup tent. But what you're going to want to do when you start this game up and you start to find your zones, you want to look at every water source that fallow can be at. And I'm not just saying you run between the times of 10 and 13 once. No, fallow come to zones in 2 sections. A lot of the lower levels come into their zones earlier on in the drink time, and a lot of the other ones come after 12:30. This 217 gold is a good-looking fallow. Have a double lung shot, easy money. Well, I would suggest when you're starting your grind is you grab, and you're going to want to either write down on a piece of paper or take a tripod and put down on the zone so you know exactly where your groups are. You want to set up on groups that have 2 males with a group of females. Do not set up on a solo zone and only set up on a single zone if you have to. But you're going to find a lot of solos that you want to ignore as you explore. Save your solos for last. Step 1, find your zone. Step 2, set up on your zones, your main zones. Figure out which ones they are. Step 3, do not shoot level 2s or below by any means. Keep those level 2s on the map. I'll put out a herd management video, but if you shoot your level 2s, you're only doing yourself a disservice because the goal of the game here is to get lower level animals on the zones and hunt higher level ones in your main zones. And here we are at one of my solo zones. I mainly have a 10 here so I can keep track on how many is accumulating. There they are. And unfortunately, they're both higher levels, which once I have my zone stacked, which means having a stacked zone means in your main shooting zone, you have higher level deer as either diamond potential or diamond guaranteed diamond fallow. It's tempting to shoot them, but you'll thank me later. Stack those deer in your main zones. You want to have anywhere between 6 to 10 main zones. Like right here. This would be me starting to stack on this zone. It's not a guaranteed diamond, but it's a diamond potential. With 232 to 273 range, Diamond for Fallow is 249.99. And since that guy is not diamond potential, but before I take him down, I'm going to show you an example of a shot down zone. So right down the way from where those guys are, I have this zone right here. Yes, it has 2 male bucks there and 2 females, which would be a shooting zone. If I shot this one down to a level 2 miner, and this one is shot down below my threshold. My threshold for trophy rating is 150. His trophy rating goes from 99 to 140. He's going to live his happy life right there as I make his friends go to sleep over here. So I look at my 0. I'm good. I'm going to use the Zarza 10, 308. And he's going to sleep. So I have made some significant progress on my map already, but my main focus is an Emerald Coast. I usually come here just to blow off some steam when my Emerald Coast grind is going downhill. And normally I would have a pickup tent closer, but at this specific lake, I get a lot of crosswind that goes across the lake, and sometimes the animals spook. So if I have wind blowing this direction, I have another tent set up right there so I can take a shot straight across, which it's a lot harder because you get a lot of broadsides of every other animal in your way. Girl, get shoe, go. The lovely Awaroa glitch. The reason why I don't make Awaroa my main hunting ground for grinding fallow is because the deer make it too easy to blow out your zone. And I have blown out countless zones. She needs to be reset. So make sure you check all of your zones. And we're going to move to, which I would say is the hardest area, and that's this coastline right here. Mainly because there's a lot of bends around it, and the fallow can be in the worst spots. Not to mention, this is where a lot of the solos collect. And this is another reason why I'm not a big fan of Awaroa, because this coastline is really hard to set up on. With so many zones, you want to make sure that you can set up efficiently, and I have yet to find a good, efficient way to set up on these. And that looks like it's going to be a female zone. Make a note. But not only it being really awkwardly shaped, everything is so far and spread out. Since we only have a render distance of 420 meters, give or take, right there is as far as I can see. Now I have to go over there and run around all these bends, or I can fast travel to this tent. And if you see this right here, let me get a better zoom up for you. If you see this right here, this is not a herd. This is 2 solos sharing the same zone. So as enticing as it is to shoot them, wait until your area is stacked before you take them out. But so far on my map, I have all of these zones shot down. This is one of my main zones that I accidentally shot down, but I'm going to wait until everything else is shot down before I rejuvenate them. These 2 are solo zones that we just saw. This is a small herd. This is a female zone. And I'm probably missing a couple around this area. So every time I come out of a tent, I'm always spotting. And that's why. This area is the reason why I carry the antler rattler, because they are tucked around this little corner right there. I give this a couple rattles, and then I wait for them to come to me. But for some reason, I don't see any of the bucks that's normally with the group. And I see no other deers on these coastlines. So this just might have had 2 solo males with them. And after I shot them, they went somewhere else. All right, no sense in staying around there. Let's spook them by fast traveling here. We need tents that have dual entry, because I always wrong to the wrong side. I just get excited. I can't help it. So if we had a better render distance, we'll be able to see what's on the side of that hill. But now we have to haul another 60 meters just to see the over there. And now that we're closer, we have another zone that I believe I shot down. Yep. It has 2 males, which I have no idea what that one's all over there. But this will be your last zone on the coastline on this side, which luckily the game has been gracious and left you an outpost here and an outpost here to help travel this distance. It's a little bit of a haul, but it saves using tents when you're a newer player. On this side, it gives you an outpost here, and then you have an outpost all the way up here, which is basically a straight shot. So definitely check your zones from this coastline all the way past the bridge to here on both sides, and this coastline after the bridge, all the way around each of these peninsulas, all the way till here. And you have 2 lakes on this side of the bridge. The first one we went to, which if we go here, I have a zone right here that has a solo. And this is what happens when you go to lakes. You can go during their drink time if you scare them away, or a couple hours after their drink time, check these areas. And you want to see this. These are the need zone identifiers. This is showing that for this animal's drink time, it's here between 10 and 1300. And if you have the right perks and skills, it'll show you how many deer are here. This one is 1. If you look across, I have 2 more, actually. And that's what happens when you always spot. I found a 3rd one. So this was a good zone until I accidentally blew it out with shooting mallards. Sometimes I just can't help myself. I am my own worst enemy. But yeah, this is another zone for solos. So to recap, we have a fallow here, solo, 2 solos here, a solo here. We have my main group here, and another herd down here that I shot down. Red deer will cover this area, and also over here. We'll jump to this zone to show you what this lake looks like. I have to run and check it out again, but there's a solo fallow here and a couple solo fallow over here, which for some reason, it keeps on deleting my zone with me not even shooting anything. So I don't know what's going on with the game there. And then I have a herd over here, which there is a hunting structure on the game right here that if you tent up right here and come down to this, it saves you a tripod. You just have to be careful because for some reason, my wind always blows this direction. I think my game is just messed up, but there's nothing I can do unless I reset my whole game. And that means a lot of work I have to redo again. So how that fallow ran away, it leaves its need zone tracks right here. So even though it's not here, I can come up, and this is important after he gets to his zone. He comes up, I do this, and I claim the zone. I can see how big of a deer it is. It's a 65 to 82 kilogram, which means it's most likely a level 2 or a low level 3. But that one is intriguing me. I'm going to show you. So with the 300, you don't get ethical points, but it puts them down easy. And once you start your grind, as long as you don't shoot your trophies with the 300, it is one of the best ways to get deer down fast without having to track them. And yes, a lot of people don't like that. I'm kind of impartial with it. I believe if you're hunting for a great one, you should get consecutive ethical kills. But since the game doesn't harp on that, I'm going to exploit it. It is what it is. Just like the wind direction. As long as I don't set up above hill, I know exactly where the wind's going to blow. And if VW has an issue with it, fix the game. And you notice how these animals didn't flee away? It's because I shot outside the 300 range. You can shoot animals as long as it is not at their zone. They won't flee outside 300. They might become attentive and alert, but they should still stay there. And from 258 meters, I got a right humerus and right lung shot that instantly put this big boy down. We have 3 last spots to check. Now, there normally was a zone here, but the game screwed me. And as I was shooting mallards, it extended the mallards' hunting pressure and deleted the zone, even though it wasn't touching. But this is another example of a shot down zone. I have a low level 3 here, a level 2, and another level 2. This is what you want your non-shooting zones to be. That way, you can respawn bigger deer. Because the game wants to create a balance of low and high level deer. What are you doing? Like just running across the water. What is wrong with you? You are definitely a glitch. I'm sorry. I have to see if there was a zone here that I didn't know about. Because he fled all the way from over here. And I always backtrack when I shoot an animal to see if it's a solo or if it's not. Because it's kind of baffling to me that after all the zones I checked, that there would be one over here. And there was. So another one you can add to your list to check. Here's a solo that was right here. Before we check out the other zones, we're going to talk about tent placement. You want your tents to be around 210 to 240 meters. You really don't want to exceed that because then you're just wasting your time running. But I'd always do plus or minus 30 to 40 meters. just because I can't show here. And you want to do plus or minus 30 to 40 meters, because as you can tell from right here, if I click on that fallow, it is not directly on its drink time indicator. So that being said, if you mark the indicator and run to exactly 200 meters, you could spawn in and scare the animal away. But that is another one of my shot down zones right there. This right here could potentially be a fallow zone. This is another fallow zone, which I have a solo there, low level. And then this right here would be my final zone. This is why I say plus or minus 40 meters. Because even though I put my waymark right there in the middle of the drink time indicator, the fallow are 40 meters past it, greater than 40 meters past it. And since this is the last zone for this video, I'm going to show off the Hudsick 50 caliber. I'm going to use the Hudsick when I take down my fallow great one. It is such a fun gun to use, and it does absolute devastation to these animals. So let's line it up. Other than the smoke, and this is why it's my favorite zone, because after they run out, they run towards you to escape. And then they're going to run back that way just to recircle back this way. It is by far my favorite zone on any map for grinding, because I can take out the whole zone if I wanted to without leaving my tripod. And how I have my setup, I have my tent back here, my tripod 150 meters from the need zone indicator, and they all congregate on the tip of the peninsula right here. And when they flee this way, come up this way, and then they circle back around. Now, I don't suggest taking out every animal of the zone, but if you had more than 2 bucks that you're hunting, you could potentially, but I would also just recommend taking 2 from each zone. And with the Hudsick 50 cap lock, I got double lung penetration, and it almost came out the other side. It is a really fun gun to use, regardless of being a single shot. And not to mention that the reload is obnoxiously long, but it's part of the gun. I like the accuracy of it. I hate the guy's hands, but I like the accuracy of the gun. Make sure the flint's in there, and then you're good for a secondary shot, which it is possible on a zone like this to get 2 shots with the Hudsick. Because if we look back over here, they're starting to come back, and they just run back and forth. If you guys liked the video, if you stuck around, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Was this helpful for you? This was kind of an impromptu video because of my son's friend wanted one. There'll be better ones coming out soon, I promise. All right, that's it. Skipper out. Peace.